Hello, my loves. Welcome to May's Energy Update. As you are coming on, whether it's live or on the replay, let me know where you are watching from. Hashtag it replay so that I can give you some love. If you're watching on TikTok, this is being broadcast on YouTube. So if you miss anything or you have to go anywhere, you can always check my YouTube channel. Oh. So welcome to May's Energy Update. For those of you who are new to me or just finding me, I am Johanna Burkhardt. I am a multi-dimensional channel, teacher, healer. And there is a lot to talk about. And I'm sure that a lot of you are feeling the intense energy of May. And so I would love for you guys to share with me how you are feeling, how you made it through the eclipse energy. We only have one more to go for this first round of eclipses. And so we're going to break down what you may potentially experience this month and maybe some ways in which you can best navigate it. Hi, Pamela. So we're going to be working with the Andromedans, the 10th dimensional Andromedans. It is an aspect of me. For those that aren't familiar with the way that I channel, I embody my higher aspects. So I have a 10th dimensional Andromedan aspect that I am currently embodying in a 12th dimensional Arcturian aspect. And those two kind of work together. But my whole team works as a one collective field. They speak as a one voice through me. And different ones will come in at different times. And so you may notice it. The only thing that really matters, I say that because people often ask me, what really matters is the transmission that's happening in my words. So my words are light encoded. And so there's always a transmission. It doesn't really matter what I say from a frequency aspect. Okay. So just as a reminder, I am not an astrologer. The guides say often that time and astrology are just markers for experience. They just mark when destined events are meant to happen, when certain frequencies or energies are meant to come through. With that being said, that's why everything that I'm about to say is a potential, because what you may experience is going to be completely different than somebody else. Everyone has their own divine blueprint. That's what I like to call it. And you each created that when you were born. You created your own divine blueprint. So at different markers in time, you will experience different things. So if you don't experience anything that I'm talking about, that's not a big deal. It doesn't mean that you are doing something wrong or you're not where you're supposed to be, because you are always where you are supposed to be. Okay. So you stay with and choose what resonates for you as your truth. It doesn't have to match what mine is. So the month of May is going to be an intense month. And again, intensity does not mean bad. It doesn't mean negative. It just means an abundance of frequency, a lot of energy. And as I have mentioned a few times over the last few weeks, we are going through currently at this moment, as I speak, a very large planetary sustained frequency increase. So what that means is a lot of people refer to the Schumann and they'll see these big spikes in the energy. But it doesn't mean that the frequency is going to go back down. What we're going through is a sustained increase. The planet is going through its own ascension process, and we are magnetically attached to her in that way. So we are helping her to ascend as she is helping us to ascend. And so that frequency is sustained, right? It's not a one-time thing. It's not a temporary thing. So your body is constantly having to go through these points of integration where we go through these huge frequency spikes. And during those times, it can feel chaotic. It can feel like you're going crazy. It can feel like massive anxiety, confusion. It can feel like overwhelm. You might have oversensory that happens during big frequency spikes. And then what happens is your body is being asked to integrate that frequency to be able to sustain it. Okay. Just like manifesting, right? We are always manifesting. There's never a time when we're not manifesting. The reason why we're unable to hold on to the things that we desire or the states of being that we desire to is because we are unable to sustain the frequency that that state of being or that thing that we're desiring resides on. And so we are going through a sustained frequency increase, and that can be a lot. This is actually going to be probably the largest one that we've had ever. So have a lot of grace for yourself, kindness, compassion, and check in with yourself and ask, am I grounded? Am I present? And so I'm going to actually be sharing a oneness breath, is what I call it, that I use very regularly, and that I shared in the Energy Matrix program to really help keep my auric field and my energy clean and neutral, and keeping myself grounded and present. So I hope that you guys will stick around for that. Could this cause swollen lymph glands? We'll get to that. So you guys can, I'm glad you asked that question though. You guys can ask any questions that you want. And towards the end, when I break from my stream of consciousness, I will start to we'll answer questions. And same with you guys on TikTok. If you guys want to answer your questions, you just have to stick around to the end and I will answer them as we go. So in addition to that huge sustained frequency increase that we're going to be experiencing, part of this energy between two portals, right, between two eclipses. So this last eclipse, I shared a written post on Facebook about that. The last eclipse in Taurus was to help us find our stability, to help us ground into our true, authentic being, because this energy is closing out what we call a karmic portal, and all karma is a loop. It is an opportunity for you to view a relationship or a situation, or a state of being, anything really. There's no limit to what it could be, is to look at it from a different perspective. That's why oftentimes when we incarnate, we choose to take on things that maybe we experienced in other lifetimes. It's not that we had to, or we were being punished, or that we're made to finish something. That is actually a misconception, the guides say. What you're doing is a choice. You're choosing to revisit something to get a different perspective or perception that will help you come into a state of compassion and understanding. Understanding is the point of which we can integrate something. When we have understanding, we will open our heart and we will have compassion. Those two are very much go hand in hand. If you want to know more, really going in depth, the guides recently did a channeling on karma in my YouTube membership, so you can visit that if you so choose. But this first eclipse was beginning the process of the final purge that closes out a karmic cycle. So it closes out us looking at things that we have revisited. So whether that is relationships, whether that is friendships, whether that's states of being, levels of consciousness, whatever it may be, core wounds. Through the month of April, we really revisited a lot of those patterns that were coming up for us that aren't serving us, limiting beliefs, things like that. And so as we go through this next 2.5 weeks or so, what we're doing is we are purging any remnants, because we are stepping onto a new path, a new state of being, a new frequency. Literally, we are stepping into that. So for a lot of people, you're going to experience upheaval. You're going to experience complete and utter shifts in the direction of your life, in relationships. So there's going to be a lot of endings and a lot of new beginnings, which is typical for eclipses anyway. But this one was powerful because it really carried, astrologically, it carried the weight of 100 new moons. And new moons are all about really going into that internal and changing the frequency, right? So everything is first a frequency, and then we attach an emotion to that frequency, what really drives it, which really brings it to life. And then that is what we project and what will be mirrored back to us in our life. And so it's really, these new moons are really about going inside and really changing our state of being, really tapping into what our truth is and what we truly desire and what we want, and then allowing that to be what it was projected out into the world. And this is important because the month of May is about transparency. It's about truth. It's about removing the masks that you wear. It's about really being authentically you. So some questions that you can ask yourself is, what do I really want? What am I afraid to admit to others? This is a tough one. So think about, what are aspects of you, whether it's an emotion or a behavior or an experience that maybe you are ashamed to admit or you feel is inappropriate, or will be judged. That right there is something that you need to learn to embrace, whatever it is, whatever truth that is. And then what masks do you wear? What masks do you wear? There will be no more ability to pretend to be something that you are not. Wearing a mask that is rooted in fear, that is rooted in, I'm afraid of being judged, I'm afraid of conflict, the people pleaser, right? The martyr, all of these unserving masks that are rooted, it's important for me to say this, right? That is rooted in fear. Those will no longer be able to be used without creating massive chaos in your life. So it's time for us all to be completely transparent with who we really are. And this is going to be shown in the collective as well. So in the collective, we're going to see chaos at different levels, right? Now, a lot of that can happen behind the scenes. Sometimes that will invoke more distractions, right? So think about the things in the news that really pull at your heartstrings, things that get your attention, celebrity things that really kind of take the main stage and kind of take your attention. Those are distractions for what's really happening. So there's going to be a lot of unveiling that's happening, a lot of transparency that is seen, because there's going to be an inability to pretend to be anything that you're not. And that's going to go for everybody. And it's going to show up a little bit different for everyone. And you're really going to notice if you're doing that, because after the middle of the month, I'm going to say around the 19th of May, 18th, 19th, somewhere, it's usually about 3 days after the eclipse portals close. So 3 days after the event is when that energy closes out, and we're not in the flow of that. There can still be ramifications of that, right? And still be things that come from that, but you're not in the flow of that energy. So around that time, anything after that point in time, if you are pretending to be someone that you are not, or if you're wearing a mask, or if you're doing those types of things, sometimes it's going to be unconscious or subconsciously. You're going to know, because your life is going to be very anxious, very chaotic. It's going to be mirrored back to you very quickly. One thing that I have noticed as I have started to make that shift into higher sustained frequencies, and I've shared a lot about this on my journey, is that I can no longer carry things with me. I can no longer repress or avoid or deny wounds that are coming up, triggers that are happening, anything really. There's no more ability to repress or deny. And we all do that at a subconscious level. No matter how awakened or aware you are, there's still going to be aspects of you that are going to attempt to do those things. And what I've noticed is once you get into a certain frequency, and you're trying to sustain it, it literally stops you in your tracks, and you literally can't move forward. Like the world stops. It's like, no, you're going to deal with this. You're going to sit with this. You're going to integrate this. You're going to feel this. Because Earth is the planet of feeling. It is the only place in the multiverse, the only planet, the only system that is designed to feel in such a tangible way, and why we have such a wide spectrum of frequencies. We have a spectrum of love. We have a spectrum of density. It's not just one universal, unconditional oneness love like you would experience in non-physical. It is a spectrum. So we actually came here to feel, which is quite ironic because most humans spend their life avoiding feeling or disassociating feeling, right? And so it's kind of one of those ironic moments where we look and we go, oh, duh, like this is what we came for. Yet it's the very thing that we try to escape. It's the very thing we try to avoid. So there's no more of us pretending or trying to be something that we're not. And for a lot of people who don't know themselves and don't know who they authentically are, they're about to get a crash course in it. But here's the thing, when you start unapologetically being who you are and not watering yourself down or dimming your light or wearing a mask to make the situation comfortable or to avoid conflict or to do all the things that the human aspect parts of us want to do, you step in and own your power completely. And everything that you are desiring, everything that you are calling in, if you are washing yourself down or dimming your light or putting on a mask, every action you take, every words you speak, whether anybody sees or hears you or not, is the universe listening, your body listening, your brain is listening. So what are you doing? It doesn't matter if nobody else sees. What you do behind closed doors when nobody is watching is like more important than what you put out into the world, honestly. So who are you truly when nobody's watching? Can you be that? Can you embrace that version of you? Can you own your truth? And if you really don't know that, are you willing to explore that? Are you willing to do that? This is big energy. And what I'm telling you is this feels like the point of no return. This feels like this up until around the middle of the month is literally us walking a bridge. Walking a bridge and saying, oh, as we're going, right, as we're walking towards that new frequency that we want to sustain, as we're walking towards that new path that we want to walk, the remnants is going to start popping up, blocking us on this bridge. Oh, am I really worthy enough to experience this? Am I really enough to call in this? Who am I? Who is going to love me? Who is going to accept me? Can I accept? Am I judging myself? All of those remnants are going to pop up and try to slow you down, try to prevent you from stepping into that new frequency, that new state of being, that new path that you have designed before you incarnated. You said it, this is the time. And when we start to step into new frequencies and we start to call in the things that we're actually desiring, when we start to meet the people that we actually really want to be in relationship with, no matter what type of relationship it is, business partnership, friendship, romantic relationship, oftentimes we can get triggered. Like we get excited in the beginning, right? So let's just say a new business opportunity or a new employment opportunity showed up at your doorstep randomly, because those are the kind of things that are going to happen, right? That's the nice side of this energy, is massive opportunity, massive possibility, massive potential. In relationships especially, but you get excited in the beginning, like, oh my God, that's so exciting. This is amazing. And then once that excitement, that you being in that high frequency of joy and bliss and ecstaticness of what is in front of you, that's when the ego kicks in. That's when the wounded inner children collective kicks in, and they start to bring up these old beliefs, these old core woundings that really, sorry, I have cats scratching at the door and it broke my stream of consciousness. So give me a second. So when you're walking that bridge and those wounds start to come up, those are your opportunities to be like, yes, I found one. Yes, I found one. Yes, I found one. Let me look at this. Let me feel this. Let me really own that, yes, this is coming up, but this is a story. It's an old program. It's something that I have been asked to revisit time and time again. I've looped around this so many times, and now I get to choose a different perspective. Now I get to look at it from a different point of view. And now I get to say, is this my truth? Because oftentimes when it hurts, right? When we feel that emptiness or that thing that when we get that trigger where our chest just caves in, or we feel that pit in our stomach, or we feel that emptiness, when we feel those sensations in our body, those are our body communicating, and Q is saying, this is not our truth, because if it was our truth, it would feel good. And so when those limiting beliefs come up, when those core wounds pop up, that is your opportunity to really look at it and go, how is this making me feel? If this is not my truth, you can go down the hole if you wish. Where did this come from? Who is the programmer of this story? But honestly, you don't even have to do that unless you really feel called to. You can sit, you can feel it in its totality. You can feel the whole entire emotion. It will run about 60 to 90 seconds. And then you can say, I love myself anyway. Right? For those of you who practice my purification process modality, you know the 4 frequencies, and you can really just work with those to accept that version of you in your heart. Can you accept that wounded version of you that's showing up going, but we're not good enough. We're not worthy enough. We're too much, or whatever the case may be. Who am I? Can you love that version of you anyway? Can you have compassion and understanding for yourself? And if you are someone who's feeling ascension symptoms, right, where there's physical aspects in your body, those sensations are telling you where things are stored in your body. This is why the guides are always saying, and why I'm always saying, one of the most foundational things that you can ever do on this self-awareness journey or awakening is to learn how to read your own energy, and to manage your energy. Those 2 things will completely transform your life, because it will open up a level of trust in this journey and discernment that will keep you from asking for validation, keep you from looking for something outside of yourself. It's just recognizing that whatever's happening, whatever it is, whatever's happening in the cosmos, right, whatever's happening in your life, whatever it is that you ate, whatever it is that you did, you will be able to discern, what is this trying to show me? What is this sensation doing? It'll help you to communicate and build that bridge between you and your body, you and your mind, that trinity, right? Mind, body, soul. There needs to be a complete communication. And the triangle is one of the strongest geometrical shapes that there is. This is true stability. Can you connect the dots and communicate fluidly with yourself? Can you read your sensations in your body? Can you discern where your energy ends and another's begins? So when you're having ascension symptoms, the energy that's coming in is like a waterfall, right? And if you've ever been at the base of a waterfall, what you'll see is the water pounds the dirt, and it usually just beats at it and breaks it down. It's no different when we're having these huge spikes in sustained frequency. It's like a waterfall of light coming in and just hitting any of our density, right? So it goes like this. Light comes in, pushes the density up. And what it's doing is bringing it to the door of your heart. And it's, will you accept me anyway? Will you accept this version of you that's being brought to the surface for you to look at when you don't want to? Can you just look at it? Can you see it? Can you hear it? Can you feel it? Can you love it anyway? This is the process of integration. This is the process of integrating parts of you that you have fragmented and fractured and pushed away from you because you didn't want to look at it, because you didn't want to feel it, because it wasn't accepted by your parents or by a schoolmate or whatever it may be, which made you develop masks, what made you develop other fragments of you, alter egos, the strong one, right? The perfectionist, whatever it is. It's going to give you an opportunity to find those aspects of self and to really begin to work with them and integrate them. May is one of those months where, like I said, it's a point of no return. So those who choose to willingly step into this path, to step onto that bridge and say, I'm ready to be who I'm authentically am, to show my light, to no longer dim it, to no longer portray something else, to no longer pretend to be someone else, and to really step into that true vulnerability of transparency. That doesn't mean that you have to be on Facebook telling everybody your business or oversharing. That is not what I'm saying. It means be who you are and do not pretend to be something that you're not. Own it completely. If you want to be famous, if you never want to leave your house, if you want $1 million, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to go live in the mountains by yourself, whatever it is, own it. Don't be afraid because you think it's egoic. The universe is listening. Your consciousness is listening. If you say, I'm going to use this example, and I know he wouldn't care anyway, but my ex-husband had a TBI, traumatic brain injury, in the military. And he has spent, ever since that moment, he has spent his life telling everybody that he has a shitty memory, that he can't remember anything. But if you're constantly telling yourself, I can't remember, I can't remember, I can't remember, your brain's like, oh yeah, we don't remember things. It stops remembering. We don't do that. What are you telling yourself? By dimming your light. What are you telling yourself by putting on a mask that you can't be you? What are you telling yourself when you're like, oh, I can't tell people that I want to be famous. I can't tell people that I want to go live in a treehouse in the woods. I can't tell people what I actually enjoy or whatever it is. What you're doing is telling the universe that you are not okay. You're not perfect as you are. That you have to be different to be accepted, which means that you're not accepting yourself. Right? So another good way of using this energy this month is to look at what you judge. What do you judge in others? What do you judge in the world? That judgment is going to show you one of two things. It's going to show you something that you, a part of yourself that you don't want to look at, that's being mirrored back to you. Or it's going to show you something that you truly desire, but are afraid to desire it, or afraid to admit that you desire it, or feel like it's inappropriate to desire it, or it's not okay because there's some crazy programming that happened in your life that said so. But is that your truth? Because understanding this earth plane means understanding, and the experience that we are having is there is no right or wrong. There's only right or wrong for you. What is right for you will not be right for me. And what is right for me will not be wrong for you. But that doesn't mean that either one of us is wrong or either one of us is right. It's left up to the individual person. This is why releasing judgment is the most powerful thing we can do on this human journey. Because when you release judgment, when you find yourself no longer judging things or other people, what that's really reflecting back to you is how little you judge yourself. And accepting someone for who they are and how they are doesn't mean that you choose to be that way, right? So if someone likes to eat poorly and drink all the time and judge people, right? Can you accept that that's how that person is, and that that's where they are in their journey, and that that's where they choose to be? Even though you don't choose that for your own being. Do you understand the difference? Acceptance says that's great for them. That's their choice, their life, what they choose. And it has no direct connection or reflection on me. I can love them for who they are and choose something different for me. And that also means they don't have to be in your life on an everyday basis either, right? So again, judgment is the thing that we're going to be working on this month. Stepping into our authenticity and being completely transparent and realizing when the shit hits the fan, when the chaos comes, when the overwhelm and the anxiety and all of these energies that we call in, because anxiety is just an abundance of energy that we are not being present with to allow to flow through us. Like we're in resistance of the energy that's around us, and that intensifies that anxiety. So that's why I always say, when you feel anxiety, stop, take a breath, and be like, okay, Just call it out. I see you. There is an abundance of energy around me right now. Take its power away by taking responsibility and identifying what is happening, owning your feeling, owning what's happening, taking its power away. When you try to just avoid the anxiety or escape it or medicate it, you can actually intensify it. So they would like to stop here for a second, and I'm gonna take you guys through what I call the oneness breath. Now, this is something, if you are new to energy management and discernment, and you don't know how to manage your energy, you don't know how to read your body, you don't know what yes and no means, you don't know how to trust your body or what you're getting or what's happening, the Energy Matrix Phase 1 in my digital course experiences is going to be your best friend. Okay, that and the course Reclamation, those two courses are life-changing when it comes to the energy that we are in right now and where we're going. So if you need help and you choose to work with me, those are great options for you. But I'm going to give you right now something tangible that you can use and just start with, and that's going to be the oneness breath. So anytime that, between, like if you're going somewhere, if you left your house and you're getting ready to go into a new building, or you leave that building and you're getting into your car, you can do it 1,000,000 times a day. You can do it 3 times a day. Doesn't matter. When you feel like it or you feeling anxious, you can do it. It's a way to ground you, which grounding means being present in your body. It means your energy is in your body. You're not disassociating. And it's also clearing your energetic field, your auric field, of anything that you might have picked up unconsciously, or because you have poor boundaries or whatever the case may be, right? We all have bad days. So what you're going to do is you want to make sure that your legs are flat or open, so not crisscrossed. You want same thing. You want all your ligaments to be open, right? So sit, put your feet on the ground. And you want to start by breathing in through your nose, filling your belly first, and then your chest. And when you feel like you can't breathe in anymore, you're going to take another sip. Max it out. And then you're going to breathe out your mouth through pierced lips, pushing all of your breath until you reach a state of no breath. So we're going to, as I explain it, I'm going to do it again. So we're going to breathe in. Don't take a break. Go right in from out breath to in breath through your nose. Again, filling up your belly and your chest. Final sip. Out through the mouth, pierced lips. Till you reach a state of no breath, going right back into inhaling through your nose. Again, filling up the belly, filling up the chest. Final sip. Hold it at the top for just a moment. And breathe out till you reach a state of no breath. Here's your sign that you cleared whatever you needed to clear. You're most likely going to yawn or cough. So if it takes 3 breaths, great. If you do it 3 times and you don't notice a yawn or a cough, keep going until you reach one. The yawn or the cough, everybody's going to be different. I tend to yawn with these. Shows the energy movement. When you yawn or cough, you are moving energy. You are clearing. So as I breathe out, I actually visualize my breath going 360 degrees around me, just combing through my auric field. So you can use any visual that you like. You can bring in colors if you wish, but the oneness breath is bringing you back into congruence and synergy with your mind, with your body, with your spirit. Bringing you back into that stability, that oneness of being grounded in the present moment. So sometimes it will take 3 breaths, sometimes it will take more. But put that oneness breath into practice and start to see how it shifts your reality and kind of takes the pressure off, really relaxes your body and allows you to have clarity, okay, instead of avoiding everything. So that is a practice that I wanted to share, that it works wonders for me. And again, I go deeper into these types of energy management tips in the Energy Matrix Phase 1. Okay, so in the middle of the month, most of you guys are aware, just from the astrologers who post, that we are having a blood moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio on May 15th. And Scorpio is a very intense energy, but it is also attached to a lot of our karmic. So this energy is all going towards our north node, going towards our destiny. So again, as we walk towards that energy, this is that path, right? Walking towards that energy, that path is going to show us the residual karmic aspects of old patterns, old states of being, old behaviors, the remnants that is showing up, allowing us to see it, getting excited. So an analogy that the guides brought through a few days ago was like walking down the road, right? If you're not paying attention, if you're on your phone scrolling as you're walking and you fall into a pothole, it's because you weren't paying attention. You weren't present. You weren't in your awareness. You were unconscious. You had a moment of going to sleep. You fall into the pothole, and then you're like, why can't I go forward? Why do I feel stuck? Why do I feel trapped? Well, you fell in a pothole. So you have two choices. You can beat yourself up. Oh, I know better. Oh, poor me, victim mentality. I'm stuck. I don't know how to do this. I need a reading. I need this. I need that. Or you can be like, oh shit, I fell in a pothole. And you can climb out, you can dust yourself off, and you can be like, I found a pothole. Now it's my job to feel that hole, fill it. What is that hole? It usually represents a trigger or core wound, an old pattern. Identify what the pothole means to you and what it's telling you, and then fill that hole. What do you fill that hole with? Compassion, self-love, forgiveness. Compassion is key here. You own it. Shit, I fell in a hole. No big deal. I found an old behavior. I found an old pattern. I found an old mask. I found a moment of where I was in judgment of myself, a judgment of another. I was dimming my light. Celebrate it. Celebrate your triggers. Celebrate the moments where you fall into those old patterns, fall into those potholes. Celebrate that you had the awareness, that you found it, so that you can fill it, which means you're integrating it. You're doing the work to integrate that, and it no longer be a fragmented aspect of your being that's keeping you stuck from moving forward fluidly. Celebrate it. Get excited about it. Just the practice of that alone will change your life. So that's what's going to be happening. That's going to actually be probably the maximum intensity of May. It's the middle of May. So for me, I always feel the moon energy probably about 3 days, sometimes 4 days before. Let's see, the portal for moons open 3 days before and go to 3 days after. So it's really a 7-day event, right? So notice when you start to feel these energies. In addition to that, right, again, we have that sustained planetary frequency happening. We have a massive amount of photonic light coming in. We are also in the Andromeda alignment where the sun is conjunct. If you're astrologically, you want to look at this astrologically. And again, I'm not an astrologer. I just read the planet's energy, which is very different. But the sun is conjunct Uranus. And there's a star, part of the Uranus is aligned to the Andromedan galaxy, different than the Andromedan, whatever you call the star thing that I forget the human name for it. But there's a lot of Andromedan activations happening up until May 10th. So this is part of that frequency because Andromeda, the galaxy, and the Milky Way are going to end up colliding eventually because they're returning to themselves, right? The Andromedans, I have mentioned numerous times, and the fairies are the ones that created the Earth matrix system. So we are returning home. We are on the path home to our home galaxy, where they will come into union together. So there's a lot of Andromedan energy coming through. Those are gamma rays. And that is contributing to the increase of the planetary frequency that we are experiencing. And Andromedans are all about that transparency, that being authentic you, owning your light, being that bright beacon, owning your free flag, whatever it may be, stepping into your truth, being transparent. So we're going to have maximum intensity in the middle of the month. And then we still have the rest of the month is still going to be intense. It just won't be as intense. Okay. But again, intensity is not a bad thing. So some people are going to be blissed out of their damn mind this month and riding that wave because they are stepping into their authentic truth. They are letting go of the things that they've been holding on to for far too long and just saying, this is me and I'm going to shine bright and own it. And those who are resonant match for that will find me. And those who aren't will judge me and they will fall away. And I'm okay with that. Because most of the time, it's really your own judgment of yourself anyway. You're the one that's judging you. And so that has to be reflected back to you. Whew. All right. So if you guys have any questions, now would be the time to ask. We did have somebody who asked, could this cause swollen lymph glands? Of course. So when you have swollen lymph glands, your lymphs are the thing that helps you to fight off free radicals, bacteria, things like that. So this energy, as again, that waterfall of light coming in, starts chipping away at our density, causes things to come up so we can have an increase in free radicals. We can have an increase in parasites and worms and all kinds of things that are in our body because those things have now been broken free, dislodged from wherever they were. And so our lymph nodes can sometimes get overactivated if you have a lot coming up, trying to fight it all off. So it's super important, honestly, not just during intense times, because this intensity is not going down, right? It's just going to be a new normal. It'll be a new thing that you've integrated and sustained. So the next one will feel like, oh my God, here we go again. To really treat your body like the vessel it is. It doesn't mean you have to be 100% perfect, but fruit, especially organic, fresh fruit, is the highest frequency food you can eat. Fruit is the healer of our bodies. So if it has a peel, it should be organic. If you're going to eat the peel, it should be organic. If you're not eating the peel, you don't have to get the organic. I would still clean it. But fruit is the highest frequency food according to the guides that we can eat. Lemon water, huge. I drink a ridiculous amount of lemon water. Lemon opens our cells and helps to clear the free radicals. It also helps the lymphatic system. It will also help take the load off of your lymph nodes. So drinking water isn't to hydrate you. Water doesn't hydrate you. Minerals do. So making sure that you are getting enough minerals. So drinking mineral water. You can take a mineral supplement. Please do your homework. If you want recommendations, you can reach out to me. I have some that I would recommend. There's many different kinds out there that you can take. Minerals are what hydrate you. Magnesium, potassium. Water is a conductor. Water helps. Drinking a lot of water helps to move energy through your body. It helps to flush the free radicals. So if you're somebody that has an abundance of energy, you should be sucking down water like nobody's business. Like always having lots of water. Okay, that's a conductor. It moves the energy. And just paying attention to what you're eating. Read the labels. Is it loaded with inflammatory oils like vegetable oil, corn oil, canola oil? All of those oils are not real. Read your labels. What's in your food? Is it high in processed things? Does it have dyes in it? all of these things, or are you eating heavy food, fried foods? Right? So listen to your body. Everybody's going to be eating different depending on what they can tolerate, what their body is craving. There's something that's off limits. Everybody's going to be different. But listen to your body and eat what is the highest expression that your body needs. Things that make you feel light, that make you feel good. When you do that, you take the load off, because when we're going through these huge frequency increases, your body is trying to digest, break down, digest, and integrate what it needs, right? Extracting what it needs and releasing what it doesn't. If you're adding heavy foods on top of that on a continuous basis that your body has to break down, it takes away from your body's ability to integrate the frequencies. It actually makes your ascension symptoms much worse. So just really tune in to those types of things. But the ascension symptoms with frequency increases are very similar to solar flares. You can have headaches, you can have changes in your sleep, you can be more irritable, have more, especially with just anything Uranus. It's going to be things that irritate you, frustrate you, aggravate you, anger, resentment, all of those things can start to come up. So you could have acid reflux, you can have heartburn, you can have digestive issues, you can have skin rashes. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. So if you have something new that's popping up, this is the opportunity for you to start learning how to communicate and read your body. What is it trying to tell you? This is why these types of tools that I talk about with reading and discerning and managing your energy are life-changing and will be used for the rest of your life, because it will help you to be like, oh, this is what this is telling me. And now I can bring it back into homeostasis. Because sometimes you're going to have crazy cravings. Those cravings are because your body's trying to come back into homeostasis. But that doesn't mean you have to answer the craving to eat the sugar or to eat the salt. You're craving that for a reason, because your body's trying to come into homeostasis. If you can figure out why it's craving it, you can meet that need another way instead of trying to meet it from a physicality. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right, let me see if I have any questions on over here. I'm not doing readings. I'm doing an energy update. Wisdom is what happens when you understand something. So someone had a comment, how do I get rid of that? About knowledge is recycled thought, wisdom is a brutal teacher, but you will learn. You only receive wisdom when you come into understanding of something. So wisdom comes through experience, right? This is why when someone is sharing an experience with us, we can understand from our perspective of what, if we've experienced, we're going to have a greater understanding of what someone's going through. But wisdom comes through experience. This is often why that, like, for a great example, if you're a parent, right, you can tell your kids anything you want. You can tell them, don't go do drugs. Don't accept men or women that do this, right? You can tell them all day long, and they still are going to go do it, because they have to experience it for themselves. Experience and moving through a situation or circumstance while you're present is how wisdom is born, right? As you move through an experience and you get to the other side, then you look back and you go, oh, now I see why I had to go through that. But wisdom doesn't come until you move through it. So intelligence and intellect are very different, very different. So you can read my book or anyone else's book. You can take the course and learn the information. You can do all of that things, but until you actually take the action and start to be it, which is the only way you can sustain it. It's the only way you will ever understand and have compassion. It's the only way you'll ever extract that wisdom. Okay, so as I embody my Andromedan aspect and my Arcturian aspect the same way that I embodied my ninth dimensional Pleiadian aspect, and I have embodied inner children, I have embodied ego masks and ego fragments. I can only embody them and integrate them when I have allowed those aspects of me to have full expression and to experience life through their eyes. So again, I have courses that kind of walk you through these types of things, but that is what it means. Oh, you're so welcome. Why is it so hard to be vulnerable? Because, well, I can only share for myself. So being vulnerable for me was made to be a weakness. It meant that we were less than, I wasn't, for me, it meant that I wasn't capable, that I didn't know enough, I wasn't doing enough, I wasn't being enough. I wasn't allowed to show my weaknesses. I wasn't allowed to show emotion. And so when we're vulnerable, we are opening our hearts and saying, this is my truth. And we take the risk of being abandoned. We take the risk of being rejected or denied. Everyone's going to have a little bit different flavoring on that, or a different way that it happens. But it's so hard to be vulnerable because it comes, the hardness, if you will, is fear. You're afraid of something. But if you love yourself, even if you love yourself, even if that person doesn't agree with you or rejects you or abandons you or doesn't believe you, it's okay. It's not for them, right? It's not for them to understand. It's not for them to accept. It's only your job to do that. And the more that you are accepting of your truth and what is authentically you, and you realize that anything that person says to you has more to do with them than you, then you won't take it so personally. Take it personally. You're taking their truth and making it yours. You're bringing it into your person and making it yours. That's why it's hard for people to be vulnerable, because they will take the person's reaction to their vulnerability as their truth, and then they will shut down that aspect of them. It's a program. Don't expect your guys' self to be perfect. When you start trying to change these behaviors or these ways of being, it's a practice for a reason. Spirituality, or becoming more aware of self, is a practice for a reason. You're practicing. Otherwise, if you got it and you integrated it and you were perfect at it and you had nothing left to practice, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. They should teach this stuff in school. 100% agree with you. I'm your future husband. I'm sorry, that was funny. Okay. Is this going to be posted so I can watch later? Yes. So it'll depending on if you're watching it on Facebook, it'll still be up. If you're watching it on YouTube, it will be there. All right. So how's everyone feeling? Does anyone have any other questions that pertains to the energy update that I brought forth? This is a big month. This is a big transition. And so a lot of people are going through major transitions in their life right now. So have grace for yourself. Have compassion for yourself. Treat yourself the way that you would treat your best friend. Treat yourself the way that you would treat your child, or a stranger even, because some people don't treat their children or their friends very well. So whoever you treat the best in life, treat yourself the same way, and treat yourself that way first. And slowing down and being present is going to be everything, because May 19th, we enter into the new galactic spin. And this is when we're really going to feel timing change. We're really going to feel that shift in the energy, right? It's like we're crossing that bridge. We're crossing that pathway. So be gentle on yourself and really ask yourself the questions that I went through in the beginning, and start with being transparent with yourself and owning your truth. What is it that you really want in this life? Whether you think it's ego-based or not, it doesn't matter. Get clear on it. Who are you really? What masks have you wear? When do you dim your light? Around who? When do you pretend to be something that you're not? What are you afraid of? Why can't you be who you are? Get really clear on these things and start to find ways in which you can embrace those aspects of your being. And remember that if your life becomes super chaotic, if you feel like you're going crazy, because there is right now, as we're walking through this bridge, there's a lot of overlays. The guides just showed it to me as like these different layers. And sometimes we can get confused because there's almost like contradictory energy happening with all these overlays. But those overlays are showing you where things are crossing over, right? It's showing you where all these things are crossing paths, and you get to choose. Is this me? No. Okay. Is this me? Yes. Let me bring that into my being. Let me work this other piece out though. Right? So if you're going through a time where you feel confused, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like you're high anxiety, any of those energies, if you feel like there's a lot of chaos in your life, it's going to be your sign that you are not in your authenticity. There's something off. There's something off. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Salim. Pay attention to those things. And when you find them, celebrate them. I found a mask. I found an old behavior. I found an old pattern. I fell into a hole. Now it's my job to fill it. Just remember that. When you find the trigger, when you find the old pattern, think of a pothole. Oh, found a pothole. My job to fill it. My job to fill it. Nobody else's. I've been having huge triggers involving being vulnerable. That's great. Celebrate it. When you have that trigger and you feel vulnerable, ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? What am I really afraid of? What's really going to happen? What's my worst case scenario? Can I accept that? Can I accept that too? Can I accept that that person may be that way? True colors. We're going to be seeing a lot of true colors. World stage is a reflection of all of us. So as we change, this is why being the change is so important. It's not about changing the external. It's not about changing the world. It is not about wishing when the world is this way, things will be better. No. Look in the mirror. It starts with each and every one of us. If we all took responsibility for our states of being and chose to be the change that we want to see, we would see that reflected back to us in the world very quickly. But there is still a lot of souls that do not want to take responsibility, that would rather blame, shame, guilt, be a martyr. I already said blame. Everything is outside of that. Everything is someone else's issue or because of something else. They believe in separation. And that's okay for them. It's right. That's where they are. But if we all took responsibility and stepped into our authenticity and was who we actually were and started to behave in the way that we wish the world would be, we would speed up this process ridiculously, right? Because this is a frequency war. They want you to buy into the fear. They want you to buy into the distraction. They want you to have something to exhaust yourself fighting over. They want you to have something that you pour your heart out to and have so much compassion for, because then it's taking away from you taking ownership and looking at yourself and for choosing a different way of being. I'm feeling more and more that my soul wants to come forth even more. It doesn't feel aligned to wear a mask anymore. Beautiful. And remember, it's okay if you find a mask. And not all masks are bad. And that's why I said, if it's rooted in fear, you're doing it because you want to avoid something. You're doing it because you're afraid of being that way, right? You're, again, fear, afraid of failure, rejection, abandonment. conflict, whatever it is, ask yourself, why do I feel like I got to be this way? Why do I have to be this person? Why do I feel like I have to change who I am? Would meditation be a good way to help us tune into the patterns that we need to work on, or should we just allow the aha moments to shed light on that space? Great question, Meredith. It's going to be probably a combination of both. The most the most powerful thing you can do right now is to be human. Meditation should be used right now to find inner peace, to find that space where you can open your heart and allow whatever's coming up to be accepted in. If you feel like meditation is the space, and in doing so, I call it sitting in my power. So when you're sitting in your power, charging your light, and you're just doing things that open your heart, thinking about things that open your heart, little animals, imagining water falling on you, whatever that is, you might have beautiful aha moments in that. But when you have the trigger, when you find the pattern, if you can, once you step into that awareness, oh my God, I'm in an old pattern, I'm in an old behavior, why am I being this way? Ask yourself from a space of curiosity and not judgment, I wonder what this is trying to tell me. I wonder what this is showing me. I wonder why I do this. How is this benefiting me? And sometimes you might have to ask that question 5 different ways and not get stuck in it where you're like, okay, I asked the question, why isn't it here? Ask the question and then go about your day and watch it come in. And then you'll have that light bulb moment. You'll be doing the dishes and you'll be like, oh my God, that's why I do that. Oh my God. Okay. How can I do that differently? How can I be differently? How can I break the cycle? And that is where the work comes in. Having the aha moment and the awareness is the easy part, honestly. Breaking the pattern, the cycle, that is the part that makes you have to show up every day and say, I have to be different. And that's going to challenge what I call your muscle memory. Your muscle memory is used to you being in your comfort zone. Your muscle memory is used to those old bad behaviors. They're comfortable even if they're not serving you. So you have to do the thing that feels uncomfortable and develop a new muscle memory. So what I like to say is when I feel uncomfortable doing something, I say, oh, I have a muscle memory being challenged. I have a muscle memory that's being challenged right now. But do what works for you. So if being in meditation helps you get clear on what's showing up, great. But you don't necessarily need to go looking for the pattern. Just live your everyday life as present as you can. Okay. Try not to multitask. Multitasking is one of the worst things that we can do. You're not present when you're multitasking. And then it takes your brain 15 minutes to switch gears. So you're actually wasting more time. You actually get more done by slowing down and doing one thing at a time and being present with it. I've actually tested this theory for myself because I was a huge multitasker. So the more you can do one thing at a time and be present with that thing, you will actually get more done in your day. It's trying to do 5 things at once. That's what those days where you're like, I was busy all day, but I don't feel like I got anything done. That's why. So just be present in your body, go through your day and notice the sensations in your body. When are you triggered? When are you doing things or saying things, or even in your head, catching yourself? When you catch yourself in that pattern, that is your moment to say, I wonder why I do that. How is that serving me? What purpose does doing this give me? And you may not like the answer, but you don't have to. All you have to do is accept it. Accept that that's the answer. Love yourself anyway and say, okay, how would I rather be instead? And what does that look like? What actions should I take? Curiosity, wonder, inquiry. These are the things that you want to do. You want to ask the questions from a place of non-judgment and then go about your day knowing that those answers will come in. And the guides always say they will keep putting it in your path, keep bringing that answer forth until you either see it or no longer need it. So even though you feel like they're not answering you and your guides are not giving you the answers that you're seeking, or your higher self isn't, whatever your belief system is, know that it's actually there. And oftentimes we don't see what's right in front of us. So they will keep putting it in your path until you either see it or no longer need it. All right. Okay, my loves, this was a great energy update. I hope if you have any questions based upon it, you can drop them below and maybe I'll do mini videos on it before. Again, if you are more interested in learning about karma and the energies of how to working through what's coming up, the bad, the patterns and the cycles that are unserving, my YouTube membership may be something that calls to you. It's where we channel wisdom from the higher aspects of myself that I'm currently integrating. And then also 2 courses that could be beneficial if you so choose to go down that road are the Energy Matrix Phase 1, which will help you learn and discern and manage your energy field, and Reclamation, which will help you get to know the masks and find the masks if you're curious and you're like, I don't have any masks. Reclamation will show you how to work with fragmented parts of yourself. It's called parts work. It's a transformational experience. So know that those resources are available to you. In addition to, I have tons of meditations and energy healings on YouTube that you can listen to that will help you move through the energies that are happening. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time. Bye for now.